Have you always wanted to visit India, but the hassle of planning and the intensity of group schedules is putting you off? Hi, I'm Craig, owner and tour leader of Maharaja Tours. With 40 years experience traveling India, I curate stress-free luxury tours where you can expect top hotels, easy travel, excellent guides, and delicious food. Visit my website, www.maharajatours.co.nz, and explore your options for touring incredible India.
Well, that was a really interesting interview we did with Chris Nichols, the lawyer on legal aid, representing the 19-year-old gang member from the Nomads, who says that his cap with the gang insignia is like a Warriors jersey. We also find during the course of that interview that Chris Nichols is also the guy who has used tikanga as a defence for wearing a gang insignia. He says, and he was also on legal aid for that case. And it's like your gang, it's like your family crest, your gang insignia. The Deputy Prime Minister, David Seymour, joins us now. And the issue of an ethno-state, or a country in which people, because of their ethnicity or because of their background, get different treatment from other people, is something that Mr Seymour and the ACT Party have been very strong on. And I wanted to get him on to talk about this idea of tikanga creating different legal obligations or different defences for people in our justice system. And the tikanga argument seems to be very strongly applied, or attempting to be applied, to the gang patch issue. Mr Seymour, is this an issue that we've got to deal with and the government has got to deal with?
Well, first of all, I respect the court's jurisdiction. We're not here to criticise them or override them, but it's Parliament's job to make laws. And if we feel that the laws that we set are not being interpreted the way that we expected them to be interpreted on behalf of the people who elected us, then we have every right to pass new laws and clarify that. That's actually what the Treaty Principles Bill was about. And that is what any future legislation over marine and coastal area, or perhaps the gang patch legislation, might mean. I think as a principle, it's important that the law is written down, available, so people can understand it, read it for themselves. They can know what it requires to follow the law, and they can see how to defend themselves against accusations they've broken the law. Now, part of the issue that I've seen people identify with tikanga is when the court says that tikanga can be known to only a few people and that it may not be written down. What you're really saying is you no longer have the rule of law, you have the rule of certain individuals. And that is a big problem that I believe that Parliament may have to address.
Roger Partridge wrote an interesting piece on this that we had him on the program last week. Have you read that?
No, I do read a lot of Roger's stuff, but I haven't read anything.
He did an interesting piece. Are you therefore considering, or would you consider the ACT Party consider raising an amendment to the Crimes Act or to the gang patch laws that would make it quite clear to judges that they don't have the wiggle room of tikanga if they want to give the gang insignia back?
Yeah, of course. I mean, number one, Parliament does have a job to re-establish the law if we feel that what we intended hasn't been followed in the cases that have emanated from it. And second of all, I believe that the rule of law is critical, and we cannot have a law where what's written down and what's clear to New Zealanders in the statutes from Parliament isn't actually what's followed, because once you do that and people have confusion over what the law is, then you get a lot of chaos at worst, and at best you just have a lot of uncertainty about how to invest and how to plan your life, and that's not good for us either.
All right. Is a gang insignia like a sports team's or a sports franchise's logo, as the lawyer we just spoke to argues?
Well, he's entitled to argue that, of course. But
well, we're paying for him to argue it. We're paying him $165 an hour to argue it for his client, as taxpayers.
Yeah, sure. And there's two ways you can interpret that. One is you can get very angry, or you can go back to your principles that we live in a free society where people are entitled to a trial in front of a jury of their peers and proper justice. The state can't just lock you up like it does in some countries. And that includes a commitment that if you can't afford a lawyer, then the state will pay for you to have a lawyer so that you can have justice. So look, I'm always going to defend that, even if I don't like some of the arguments people run. My job is to make sure that the law is clear. So coming back to your question about what is the purpose of this law, well, it actually is very clear that there are specific gangs and organisations, which does not include the Auckland Warriors, as far as I'm aware, which are outlawed to have their patches displayed.
Yeah. Look, two other issues I want to raise with you. We have local body elections coming up. Do you have any feel, have you done any research as to what you think is going to happen to the majority of Māori wards around the country?
Have you always wanted to visit India, but the hassle of planning and the intensity of group schedules is putting you off? Hi, I'm Craig, owner and tour leader of Maharaja Tours. With 40 years experience travelling India, I curate stress-free luxury tours where you can expect top hotels, easy travel, excellent guides and delicious food. Visit my website www.maharajatours.co.nz and explore your options for touring incredible India.